Hello, folks. I'll apologise. First things off, I'm full of germs. The joys of having a daughter who just wants to share them all with you. Fantastic having kids. Love them dearly, but So, without further ado, obviously yesterday's selections, I was only able to grab one place. Sorry it's a bit late today as well. It's obviously 20 past 11 at the time of recording this. Obviously, it's Saturday, the 22nd of February as well. I've got four selections that I like the look of and I think are worth backing this afternoon. I'm also going to go through my thoughts on the ITV races today, obviously now that Newcastle's been abandoned. And I'm also going to give a bit of a shout out to the rest of the team at PFTP and what they like and their naps today as well. So, looking back at yesterday, like I said, only the one horse was able to grab a place. And in all honesty, I was a tad cheesed off. To be honest, one of my selections that ran in the evening meeting was Roller, and I tipped that horse up on the basis that Dougie Costello went up just for that ride. Only for yesterday there to be a jockey change, and Dougie Costello didn't ride the horse after all. But, it's part of the game, I suppose. We'll just take it on the chin and move on. So, without further ado, the first horse that gets the nod hails from the yard of Joseph O'Brien. Obviously, at this time of year, and in all the news, the press, Cheltenham is on, the end of everyone's lips. It's getting all the headlines. So with that in mind, it's easy to forget that Joseph O'Brien is actually a dual-purpose trainer. There might be a decent enough meeting over at Fairy House today, but, obviously that's closer to O'Brien's setup. But he has just the one horse out this afternoon, and he sends it all the way over from Ireland to Lingfield on the all-weather. It's in the 240 at Linfield, and it goes by the name of Bombshell. O'Brien Jr. isn't obviously sending her over just for a holiday, and with a second and a third to her name so far, she has by far the best form on offer in the race. None of the super huge UK trainers, the Gosdens, etc., are represented, and although obviously 13 to 8 on is hardly a bank-busting sort of selection, I'd go as far as to say this is one of the biggest certainties of the day. Now, the fact that those words have come out of my mouth means that I've jinxed it, I'm sure. But yeah, that's it. In the 240, Lingfield, it's Bombshell. I just can't see her getting beaten, to be honest. Sticking with a bit of a Joseph O'Brien connection. I don't know if you know, but he's brought once flat apprentice jockey Oakley Brown, who won a race at York back in 2018. And he was with Richard Fahey. He's brought him over to his yard, and he's going really well now that he's riding over obstacles. He's a jockey I really like the look of, and he's been given a very obviously privileged position and a fantastic opportunity with O'Brien. That being said, he actually climbs aboard a horse trained by Donald Hassett. Now, obviously the trainer is much lesser known than O'Brien, but actually, the trainer has 26 win and placed efforts combined from just 99 runners that he sent out to Fairy House. He sends out 7-year-old course and distance winner Shah What's the Rush. The top weight is a former course and distance winner with a win and a place from just 3 starts around here. And if you take into consideration the £7 claim that you get with Oakley Brown riding, the horse is on a really, really attractive mark. It'll have blown off a load of cobwebs after making its seasonal reappearance back in October, and I think at 16 to 1 that's a pretty generous price, especially if you like to play each way. The final two of the four that I like the look of both run at Chelmsford on the all-weather tonight in the 7 o'clock and the 7:30 respectively. In the 7 o'clock, now, obviously, my first selection, Bombshell, was odds on. It was 13 to 8. But here in the 7 o'clock, I'm on the complete opposite side of the spectrum entirely. And I'm actually looking at the current price at the minute. And Stay in the Light is currently 100 to 1, which is staggering. Now, obviously, with a price like that, please take this selection with a huge warning. At that price, and also the likelihood of victory it is slim. However, Stay in the Light is a horse I've watched quite a few times, and I'm convinced will go in one day. and perhaps has been put away for a time that connections can strike. Now, I'm obviously clueless if tonight is the night, and at such a big price it looks unlikely if you judge it by the market. However, the horse is a 25 race maiden, but when looking through its form figures over the 10 furlong trip that it's running at tonight, she's been able to pick up place money on a couple of occasions, and those 2 times that she's placed were off official ratings of £16 or higher than what she's running at tonight. Now, obviously, it's not an all-out 5-star tip, lump on and so on, but I just feel she has a win in her, and I'd hate for it to be tonight and not tell you guys and miss out myself. Now, I might be following her off a cliff, and I'll have to hold my hands up and say I'm an idiot for doing so, but I just think at 100 to 1 for a couple of quid each way, I think she's got some sort of chance of grabbing a place money. And last but not least, in the next race, in the 7:30, normal service resumes. I'm not going to be that crazy, and I just think that bottom weight, Time to Strike, should have too much for the rest of its opposition. Jamie Spencer climbs aboard the David Samcock trained horse. Course and distance winner. It's been given a decent enough mark. Obviously, Back to the Boy and Mount Mogan obviously represent really good horses in their own right, and they're going to put up some sort of a fight. But I just think it's going to be hard to sort of look away from David Simcock's horse. So, to run through them, if I bring them up, I'm going to go through them now, along with my selections for today's ITV races. If I bring them up now. So yeah, today's tips, which is obviously Saturday, in the 2:40 at Linfield Bombshell, that's my nap of the day. 3:27, Shah What's the Rush, as an each-way shout. Also, as another each-way selection, Stay in the Light in the 7 o'clock. And last but not least, 7:30 at Chelmsford, Time to Strike. Looking ahead to today's ITV action, obviously the Ida's not on because Newcastle's been abandoned, but we've got some decent enough racing from Kempton and the all-weather at Linfield. So you grab a pen and have a quick nosy at them. The 150 at Kempton, I've gone solo. 205 at Linfield, Corinthia Knight. I think that horse has a really good each-way shout. 225 at Kempton, Chitabello. 302, can I just say as well, don't know if it's just me, but I absolutely despise these really odd race times. These sort of, to me, it should just be 5 past, or something 5, or something 10, 20 to go up in 5s and 10s. But anyway, it is what it is. So 302 at Kempton, see, it just sounds weird saying it. Buzz. 315 at Linfield, Bangkok. And in the 335 at Kempton, Talk is Cheap and Mr. Malarkey, both decent each-way shouts as well. As promised as well earlier in the video, I did say I'd give a shout out to the rest of the team at PFTP. So as you can see here are today's naps. Unfortunately, Dean and Mats are now non-runners, with them selecting horses at Newcastle. Chris Connolly and Luke Tucker have both gone for the same horse in the 335 at Kempton, Adrian DuPont. And myself, as I've already mentioned, in the 240 at Linfield, Bombshell is the one for me. Thank you very much for watching. Fingers crossed we can grab some winners this afternoon. If you weren't able to get those selections down, they will be on our social media, which is @PixPaddock, both on Twitter and Facebook. We'll make sure I post them. Thank you very much for your support. Again, fingers crossed we grab a bit of money from the bookies this afternoon. And all the best.